If it's the movie I think you're talking about, it was A Walk to Remember. And we were by ourselves. We went on a Sunday afternoon.
No,
and it was beautiful.
I can't.
Well, this is exciting, guys. We have another guest, and it's our first non-cousin guest. We made it happen.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. James Cluster. How are you, buddy?
I am great. I feel honored and privileged that I'm the first non-cousin guest. I didn't even realize that. It's like a dream come true.
We said it has to be one guy, and we're only gonna get one. I'm not gonna sell for anybody else. It has to be James. We don't know anybody else though.
Yeah, it's probably more likely that. I'm thinking it's that. You know, it's pretty insular. The cousins group.
Yeah. Our network doesn't extend that far, so we're just like, you know what? I'm like, we know James, right? We know that guy. I think we can get him on.
We saw him once.
Yeah.
He lives in the area. It's good enough.
Let's say hello to him.
I'm excited. You guys, I appreciate you having me on. I enjoy this group, and I always enjoy your humor. So I'm interested to see what happens tonight.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what definitely goes down. I'm very impressed with the Back to the Future Part 2 hat you have there.
Thank you.
That's very... Where do you find that? Like, where does that come from?
Well, I could tell you that, but then I wouldn't be as cool because you would go buy one, and then we would both have them, and then therefore more than one person would have one. So, yeah. But you could get it at Universal Studios if you want.
You immediately give it up.
Guys, he told us anyway.
I was just gonna say, is it Prime? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Prime. 1 day shipping though. So.
Oh, it's also at Walmart.com for $15.95.
Knock it off.
This is a secret. You're not supposed to give it away.
To the theme park, I had to pay for my ticket.
I found it on Walmart.
The least you should have to do is get a park hopper ticket.
Why is Cody online shopping while he's doing a podcast?
I already bought 2 for some reason.
Cody's doing his Christmas
5.
shopping.
Buy 5, get 1
Have
free.
these hats for Christmas. Cody's done Christmas shopping now.
That was easy. He only needed to do one podcast to figure out what he was getting everyone for Christmas.
That's it. Got it.
Love it.
And
James,
buy now.
James, I know that Back to the Future is your favorite movie. So is like Part 2 you think is just as good? This is probably a controversial question. Do you like Part 2 better?
Oh man, we're in for a debate.
I like Part 2 better because it came out like right at the time where, like, for my age, it was like that movie. I'd already seen the first one, watched it a gajillion times on VHS, and then the second one came out when I think it was turning. What was it turning 7? 7 or 8 or something. Yeah, 7 or 8. And it came out, and I was just like, I loved all the future stuff, and I loved the hoverboard, I loved the flying cars, and I was like, I'm all about that. So, but I think it's a very solid movie throughout, but I definitely get, like, my attention level drops as soon as they go back to 1985, and it's like the Biff version of 1985. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, let's get through the rest of the movie now. It's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a really solid movie, and there's a lot of I'm impressed by the continuity and the levels to which they like kept up on the continuity and doing it for sure. But just like, I get really amped over the 2015 stuff, and then I'm kind of like, oh man, I just wish the whole movie was 2015. I wish they had a reason to keep it in 2015 the whole time. But anyway, they didn't. So
I just watched that movie again, first time in a long time, 2 weeks ago, the second one. And I don't know, I freaking love that movie too. Specifically, the ending of that movie is one of the best endings to any movie ever. I freaking love that. That scene where, and spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Back to the Future 2, which probably is like two people.
Cody might not have actually seen it. Cody, have you not seen Back to the Future Part 2?
You tell the truth.
Yeah, I don't remember him, but I saw him at one point.
It's fine. If you don't remember him, we won't beat you. But I would be a little disappointed if the cousins had not made you watch them at some point. At least
I will beat you
with your eyeballs.
But it's the last scene where they're in 1955, and 1985 Doc Brown is flying in the DeLorean, gets struck by lightning. Everything's like, oh God, what am I going to do now? As far as Marty McFly goes. And then that car pulls up and you're just like, oh my gosh, who is this? Comes out with like a 100-year-old letter, hands it to Marty McFly. It's from that Doc Brown 100 years ago, telling him that like, I'm okay, don't come for me. And then he like turns to him and he's like, there's only one man who can help me now. That was like the best thing. And then it cuts to like,
I'm getting the hair on my arm is standing up.
It's great. It's great. And then it cuts to, it has like that perfect cut where it just cuts to 1955 Doc Brown on top of like the clock tower, like trying to like fix his stupid like wiring thing. Oh man, I love that. Just gives me the chills.
That's a movie too. It's like that's a movie that has a score that, in my opinion, is not an invasive score, but it's a score that is its own character. It's an additional character in the movie. That's like if not for that score, some of the emotions that you go through watching it like wouldn't be there, because like it doesn't overpower what's going on, but it just emphasizes. Like I can hear exactly that moment when he says, "There's only one man who can help me." Dun, 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 dun. Like,
Who did the score for that movie? Do you know?
Alvin
Silvestri.
He's done a lot of good stuff. Actually, I just watched something the other day that he did the score for, and I was like, I see his name a lot actually in movies. Well, I think the reason that I like the first one better than the second one. I really like the second one, but I think the first one is iconic for so many reasons. And I think when I started to realize that what the difference is between a good movie and a great movie is, in movies like Back to the Future, which we'd probably all consider a great movie, is like every scene is iconic. Every scene is memorable. Like this, if it's not every scene, it's probably most of the scenes. Like I can't think of one scene that's like, oh, that's the best scene in the movie, and the whole thing is just like, it's good the rest of the part. Like no, like the beginning, middle, and end is just fantastic. It's just all the way through. You're like, this is great. I'll remember this scene. Like everything's working, and I think that's just a testament to those movies. And it also makes you think like too, like what other movies have moments like that are just as good. Like, is there any other movie that I can think of that is that consistent all the way through? Like, I could probably think of a few. I'm trying to think of like what they are. Can you guys think of any? Like any of the movies that like are on that level of just every scene is just beat after beat after beat. Like this is just bloody fantastic, man.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and that movie's actually not. I enjoyed that movie, but
that movie's entertaining as hell.
It's a good movie.
It is actually. I think it's an underrated movie, actually. People should see that.
I think Raiders of the Lost Ark stands a good chance of being one of those films.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that as well. Yeah. What moment in Raiders though would you say is like probably the best moment of that movie? If you had to pick one.
That's hard.
That is a hard one. I think the most iconic is the boulder, the beginning.
That's probably the most iconic.
That's an iconic moment. Yeah. I think one of my favorite moments is when Indy jumps off the tanker that the Nazis just stole Marion from and took the Ark back, and he swims in the ocean, and they're like, where? And the guy's like, there! And then he's just like climbing the side, and he's like waving to all the guys on the tanker as he goes to get in the Nazi sub. Like, that's a cool moment. Like I always enjoy that moment.
Another great moment in movie score history too. That scene where he pops up on the submarine is just like the great John Williams, just like main part of that movie. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Yeah, so that's a good one. As far as solid throughout, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a movie that's got like a lot of solid moments, but then there's still. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, there's moments in Star Wars, like the first Star Wars, that like they're slow. Like, I love Star Wars. And
I was actually gonna say the same thing.
There's definitely like probably 5 or 10 minute chunks, like a couple 5 or 10 minute chunks that I'm like, I could do without this. Like, I can fast forward here,
Yeah,
my short attention span is just like no lightsaber. All right, fast forward. Yeah. No lightsaber. All right, fast forward.
Yeah, it's like any part with the lightsaber is like the coolest parts of those movies, and the rest. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still think they're good movies, but I think you're right. I think there's a lot of those moments where you go, all right.
If there isn't a laser in the scene, I'm not watching it.
In the trash. I'm returning this to the iTunes store right away. Like there's slow movies that are they're good movies. Like The Shining is a very slow movie, but I really like that movie. I'll sit through that whole thing, like because it's it's slow, but it's tense throughout. It's just like one long piece of tension.
It feels like it's slow, like it's slow for a purpose.
Yeah.
It's just like you're making your screen crawl every like second the film is rolling, basically.
Yeah, it builds the story. The slowness builds.
But then there's other movies where it's like, all right, this is really good throughout, but yeah, you know what? That 5 minutes I could have done without. Like I didn't need that. Like,
I'll build on your point, James. Shawshank Redemption, another slow movie that is I can watch it to the very end and just watch it again.
Yeah.
6 hours of my day right there.
Right. 6 hours my day.
I'm going for a third. Let's go.
Yeah, we know what Luke's doing this Saturday.
Yep.
It's one of those movies where it shouldn't be good though. Like Shawshank shouldn't be a good movie because like it's a prison movie, prison drama. Like just those words are like I'm falling asleep.
or I'm depressed.
Yeah.
But you are actually through that movie a lot. You are actually kind of depressed a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're still like, I can't look away. Like I have to see what happens next. Like I have to get through this.
I have to survive. I must survive.
Yeah. I must get through this type of thing. Well, you were talking about scores earlier. I was trying to think of movies that have like those inspirational moments. Like what was a moment that really inspired you in a movie? Like not like I'm going to go clean my room now. Like I'm like something that you're like, yeah, I just feel better about life. Like everything just feels awesome. And Shawshank is one of those movies that at the end of it, you're like, man, I feel so complete. I feel like there is that movie's about hope. So at the end, you just feel like I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm just happy everything's going my way. Everything is fantastic. And I was trying to think of other movies that have that, like, movies that the moments that like, give you chills. You're like, oh, this is as good as movies get.
I love, and again, I just watched this last weekend. Independence Day, like the last like battle, like the epic battle where like Will Smith is up in like the mothership. You got Bill Pullman flying a fighter jet, even though he's the president, and it's the shot where like everybody's trying to, or he's like trying to shoot his missile, or Bill Pullman is trying to shoot his missile like to the center of the ship to like blow it up, and he like misses or whatever, it blows up. He's like, doesn't anybody have any missiles left? And it's just that one voice in the back. Sorry, I'm late, Mr. President. And it's just like the redneck like farmer guy, who shouldn't also be flying a fighter jet, but has the only missile left. Oh man, I love that. And just the music it plays.
My favorite moment in that movie is like the moment right after that thing you just described, Joel, which is when he actually flies into the ship. And he just screams like, I'm back! Like the music just like crescendos into this big, like they finally take down the ship. And the movie is so ridiculous, but dang it, we love it. It's just like, it's that good cheesy fun that you love. And you're just like, get him, Randy Quaid.
You get him, Randy Quaid. No, that line, Joel, that you just said is probably one of my favorite, most ridiculous lines in any movie. If you actually think about it, the President of the United States flying a fighter jet, yelling at people, doesn't anybody have any missiles left? That is the most ridiculous situation ever. But man, you buy it.
But also highly probable.
Highly probable.
Very, very likely. Very likely.
I also love in Air Force One the whole movie is actually great. But the last scene where he's fighting like the bad guy, I don't even know his character's name. And they're like in the back of the plane, and he's like the bad guy's like throwing off all of the parachutes, of course. And there's like one left on the plane, and they're like wrestling, of course. And like the first lady is like pointing a gun, trying to like shoot the bad guy, but like the president's in the way and she can't do it. And he president like gets him like in like formation or like in positioned, and he says that classic line, like right before he pulls his chute like to choke him or whatever. You guys know the line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get off.
Yeah, he says, please go away.
Yes.
Please stop. Please remove yourself, sir.
You're harassing my family.
Actually, speaking of Air Force One, I was at Vaughn's in Thousand Oaks like 2 weeks ago, and the security guard that ends up being up to no good on the Secret Service agent that ends up being,
Yeah.
he totally walked by me at Vaughn's. I was
Really?
like, what? Wait, that was the guy that betrayed the president, President Harrison Ford. Horrible man. Get out of Vaughn's.
The second President Ford.
Yeah. Second President Ford. I think that was a joke in a movie. I think that was like Naked Gun. Like there's a portrait of Harrison Ford. Like, what would President Ford do? Dude, I watched Naked Gun the other day with my girlfriend, and that movie is hysterical. It's so funny. It's
so great.
Oh my gosh. I was like, these jokes are brilliant. It's just
Dude, all three of them are funny.
Oh yeah, like they're I think the second one's actually probably the funniest one, and but yeah, you're right, Joe. Like they're all pretty funny.
Just like I don't know, something about them. They're just like so stupid, but all the jokes are perfectly timed, and so they like walk this fine wire of like too ridiculous and funny, and they just like walk it perfectly. Every movie, every joke. Oh man, cracks me up.
What do you think is like the funniest moment in a movie? Like the moment you're like, every time I see this scene, it's just hysterical. I know there's probably more than one, but like if there's any that come to mind, I know that one that involving Liam Neeson that we always quote. It's a movie that people don't know. It's not one of his funnier movies, but it's a movie called Wrongfully Accused, and it's basically a parody of The Fugitive, starring Harrison Ford. And there's a moment where he escapes from prison, and he's a wanted man, so he runs into this fish shop to put on a disguise, and he happens to run into John Walsh from America's Most Wanted, and he's like, you look familiar. He's like, where do I know you from? And Leslie Nielsen is just reading off the things that are behind them on the fishing rack, and it's just the funniest sequence, and we quote that like all the time, and it's just the stupid things, like he's just looking around at things to like say where he's got to go. He's like, I got a meeting at men's room. Just a men's room right there. Oh, it's such a brilliant scene, but it's a really overlooked movie. And I'm like, that moment is so funny.
That's a great one.
Trying to think of, it's hard to think of like the funniest moment, because I'm just trying to I'm running like Dumb and Dumber just like through my Rolodex right now.
Well, I know that like the toilet scene, like I know it's a little juvenile, but that scene always comes to mind.
I mean,
like,
the first time you see it though, like as a younger kid, that's gold. That's comedy gold, right?
That is the
just like the sound effects.
It's the pinnacle of comedy.
I know a lot of grown men that still crack up at that. I still crack up.
Oh yeah, of course.
I know a lot of me that still grow up.
Now it's not as funny because that happens once a week probably. To me.
now it's an actual problem that we all have.
I'm seeing a doctor about it.
That was just a reminder, a harsh reminder.
You're like in the Walmart.
Now when that scene plays, I'm just like, I feel you, buddy. I feel you.
Just a single tear drops down your face.
Yeah.
Cody, you were telling me yesterday about a movie you saw that like you thought was hysterical. And I was like, I never heard of it before, but I was like, I gotta see this now. What is this?
Well, it falls under the it's so bad it's good category, kind of like The Room, Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
It's this guy named Neil Breen. Google him, and the name of the film is Fateful Findings. Oh, and wow. There's a supercut. They call it a supercut, where they cut out chunks of the movie, but they give you the gist of it. But you can see all the good parts on YouTube. And I was watching it this last weekend, and it was the funniest thing. I was rolling. I was crying hard. I had tears coming down my eyes. I was laughing so hard.
So it's a movie that's trying to be good, but it's just not.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And how I found that was another YouTube video that was reviewing movies that are so bad they're good, and they were describing why certain movies are so funny, and it's because of like the director or the creator of it is so delusional. Like if you purposely try to make something bad, like it's not as funny. But if they're trying to make it good and it's really bad, that's what makes it so hilarious.
Right.
So, and this fell under that category to the max. Like, this guy is very delusional. He puts himself in all his films as the lead, and the acting is terrible, quality is terrible, and the story, oh my god, I'm gonna oversell it, but just look it up.
It was called Social Norm.
Back to the Future 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely have to look that up, because I know for some reason, Cody, you have these things where you find the worst like things on the web, like the worst like poorly made cinematic films, and you can't get enough of that stuff.
That stuff is funnier to me than like mainstream, like a Jim Carrey movie. Like, that stuff to me is funnier than like Jim Carrey. Like the comedies I've seen the last 20 years, like this stuff is funnier than any of the stuff I've seen the last 20 years. For me, anyway. I don't know.
I think there's definitely an element to that, because I think there's something else to the fact that when someone just fails miserably and they're not even aware how bad it is. Like we've made films before that we thought were good and they came out terrible and we didn't know at the time, but as time went on, we're like, yeah, that's really bad. And I'm sure we could name a few. But
yeah, and then we just cut Luke out of it and it turns all right.
That's what we do. But yeah, these guys like adamantly stand by it sometimes. Like I think even Tommy Wiseau, like I think he's still adamantly saying like, no, like it was supposed to be a comedy. Like, dude, just open it up, dude. Just be honest and say that you were trying to make a good film and you failed. Like, it's okay.
Right.
Just say that. It's fine.
Dude, this guy, Neil Breen, they asked him that same question. Like, was this supposed to be funny because people were laughing? He's like, no, it wasn't supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be serious. And that makes it even more hilarious is the fact that he was trying to be serious, but yeah, turned out horrible.
Yeah, we were talking about some of the moments that Cody had mentioned, like something that you laugh so hard that makes you cry. Be honest, guys. I know we're all tough guys here, but have you ever cried in a movie? Be honest.
Be honest.
Yeah, Luke and I have actually cried at a movie together.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Oh my
how
gosh.
romantic.
We held each other while we cried.
Yeah, we embraced.
You're a
We
bunch of
movie was
babies.
Bunch of babies.
Bunch of babies.
Well, if it's the movie I think you're talking about, it was A Walk to Remember. And we were by ourselves. We went on a Sunday afternoon.
No,
and it was
You broke-
beautiful.
I can't. I'm reading it already.
The saddest matinee you guys have ever been to.
Yeah.
It was actually
No.
Face Off.
No, are you talking about Toy Story
I
3?
am talking about Toy Story.
That was on my list. Yeah.
That was on my list.
You
That was
know
one
what?
of them.
I read
That's-
that they're making a fourth one right now, and it's supposed to be even more sad.
I saw some blip on the news that said Tim Allen couldn't even get through the last scene or something.
Mm-hmm.
Are they actually going to, like, die?
I hope somebody just steps on him, just crushed to
I hope it's real quick, too. It's not like a prolonged death. It's just like, boom, and the next scene.
Shotgun misfire.
Is it shotgun misfire? In a
Take
Disney
them all
movie?
out. The sawed-off shotgun.
I mean, really, what is Pixar trying to do? Like, what's their goal here?
Trying to ruin you, man.
Yeah, is their
They wanna
goal to
break
make
you.
a good movie or like break your soul?
Well, it's like if it's
Pixar.
any more sad than the third one is, then that means it's like, well, now half this series is just tragic. It's just a sad series.
It's a drama.
Yeah, like this isn't like a fun kids movie anymore. It's like, dude, you want to be depressed? Watch the Toy Story series.
Disney pays the bills, okay?
Exactly.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters, in my opinion. But yeah, that moment came to mind. Toy Story 3, I thought was a really sad moment. Another moment, speaking of Disney films, that was the closest I think I ever came to crying in a movie was when Mufasa died in The Lion King. I saw that movie when I was like 4 years old, 5, 6, whenever that movie came out. And yeah, that was like, dude,
This is intense.
22.
I was 23 years old.
It was yesterday.
I thought that moment was like, dude, this is intense. And I didn't see this coming. Character died in a Disney movie. What are they doing? They're actually going to kill people. And yeah, maybe it's what they're going to do in Toy Story 4 is just kill off all the characters and be like, I already saw it. Mufasa died.
Yeah.
Already happened.
Already saw
Childhood ends. Get over it.
Things are only depressing from here on out. It's just scary as hell. Get used to it.
You know what? You know what movie made me tear up? And this is going to be embarrassing because it's a really stupid movie.
Oh, get it out now.
Oh, Patch Adams.
Ooh.
That is not a stupid movie, and that did make me tear up, but that's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of Click.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
The end of Click with, what's his name? Fonz.
Oh, Henry Winkler?
Harry Winkler. Yeah.
Henry Winkler, yeah.
As the dad. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. He's like old.
Isn't Christopher Walken?
Yeah.
He's in it, but he's not the dad.
He's the guy that gives the remote. He's the crazy Bed Bath & Beyond guy.
Can you tell?
Yeah.
I only saw that movie once when it first came out.
Yeah. Oh man, that last scene when he's like, or no, when he like goes back in time and he's like take me back to like last time I saw my dad, and he like sees him and he like just like is a total jerk to him and he can't like change it, and like that that's like the last time he's gonna see him. I'm like, ah, man, and Henry goes like crying and he's just like the nicest man ever. Like,
That movie takes a hard left. That movie, like, suddenly you're like, oh, it's just a stupid Adam Sandler movie. And also you're like, oh my gosh, so it's dark. Deep.
Dealing with real emotions here.
Yeah, the last like 20, 30 minutes of the movie, there's no comedy. There's nothing funny happening. You're just like, dude, what in the world? Like, where'd this movie go? Jeez. Yeah, it's almost kind of scary. You're just like, ugh. Intense. Actually, speaking of scary, is there a moment in a movie where you're like, I'm terrified? Everybody's seen a horror movie. We were kind of talking about The Shining earlier. Is there like any moment that in particular that stands out? Joel, I know there's one in particular that always comes to mind, and I think I shared it with you, was when we saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because up to that point, when you're a little kid, you're scared of the boogeyman or monsters and aliens, and all of a sudden you realize those things aren't real. There's nothing underneath my bed. I remember I had the epiphany moment where I was like, it is not real. Doesn't happen. I'm nothing to be afraid of. And then we watched that stupid movie, and it was right back to zero because I suddenly realized you don't need monsters or aliens. Like you need, creepy family. You have crazy people. And that scene where you first see Leatherface, it's so unexpected because the whole first 20, 30 minutes of that movie, nothing's happening. It's just a bunch of kids like on a trip to go, I forget where they're going, but they're just in this like old like van, just trying to get somewhere. The car breaks down. Like, where should we go? Let's go to this house. Like, maybe they can help us. And it's like 20, 30 minutes of just prolonged dialogue. And this guy that you think is going to be the hero of the movie, he just walks in the house. And out of nowhere, here comes Leatherface, smacks that guy across the head. That guy's strangling, like fearing for his life. He gets hit again. He gets pulled into the room, and Leatherface slams this metal door.
No music.
It all happens within like 10 seconds. And it's just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It was just like shook me to my core. I was like, dude, I did not see that coming.
Right.
Yeah, that's a creepy one.
Oh,
yeah.
Creepiest moment.
The one that got me a little bit more modern, The Ring. I don't know why. That movie creeped me the hell out. I don't know why. It was like the first that Japanese style. I know it's like based off of like Japanese story, but like that style of like just weird, creepy stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just freaking weirded me out.
For some reason, I thought The Grudge was creepier.
Really? I didn't think so. I thought
every
it was
time,
like
after that movie, every time I opened like a closet door, I was always like looking at like all the corners, making sure there weren't like eyes looking at me.
I did not like in Paranormal Activity where she's watching somebody, I can't remember, it's been so long since I've seen it, but they're cycling through the footage, and I think it's the wife that at some point like gets up in the middle of the night and just stares at is standing there staring at the husband for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like on the tape, and the tape goes by for like 5 hours and she's just staring at him. I'm like, I've told Abby, I'm like, if I ever wake up and you're staring at me, I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna punch you. Just be ready for it, because I'm gonna know you stood there staring at me for 5 hours. It's happening. You're getting I don't know. There's something about that was just very unsettling to me.
I'm gonna kind of sidetrack it a little bit, but it's totally related. James, you have kids. Have you ever woken up to like a creepy child?
I do.
Sorry to break the news to you this way. You have children. No,
you're a dad.
No, waking up in the middle
father.
of the night. Yeah, waking up in the middle of the night to your kids just staring at you. and not saying anything?
Never in the middle of the night, but there have been a couple like early mornings where like Liam will come in and just like he's just there, and you're like, whoa. How long have you been there? And did you at any point try to strangle me in my sleep?
Yeah.
So there's something, I don't know, like there's something weird about that. Like you marry a person and you have kids and everything like that. And so you know this person really well, but there's something still like when you see a movie like that, or you see something like that, or you hear something, I don't know, about people doing stuff like while they're asleep. It's like there's like a little part of you that's like, I'm so vulnerable right now. I'm going to bed and I'm going to be asleep and I'm going to be unconscious. If I'm a heavy sleeper, like I can't fight back. Like I'm dead. If this person wants to stab me in the head in the middle of the night, they're going to. It doesn't matter. Like I have to just trust that I made the right decision.
Right.
Well, we all know James's phobia, so
Yeah, I don't know. It's just there's something really weird about it. Like I'll think about it every now and then. It like just really bugs me. I'll be like, ugh.
I was thinking about other like scary movies that scarred me as a kid or when I was younger. And I think when the first time I saw The Sixth Sense, that like scarred me for a while. Just thinking about like the shot where that woman is like coming down the hallway with like the cut wrist or whatever. And it's just like a split second of it. That always just stuck in my mind. So every time I was like in a hallway, I was like, there's someone going to come around that door. Start walking towards me. Oh.
Jump at me, get me.
Gave me the chills.
Whenever I think of The Sixth Sense, and I love that movie. I think it's great. It's one of my favorites. But I just always think of the time when we went to go see The Sixth Sense and the experience I had that you guys always make fun of me for. And long story short, essentially, me, Cody, Luke, and Joel all went to go see The Sixth Sense with my dad. And as we're going into the theater, on the railings, it said like wet paint.
Oh my god!
And my dad was leading the line of us going into the theater, and he said, "Guys, don't touch the railings." And I think I was still in kind of like that ooh and ah, like I want to see the theater, like I'm here. And I totally grabbed the railing, and my hand had paint on it. And this isn't like, again, I don't know anything about paint. I thought, oh, I'll just go to the bathroom, I'll wash it off. Doesn't come off. It doesn't come off with just water and soap. So I sat the whole movie with just paint on my hands, trying to eat Skittles, watching The Sixth Sense, smelling paint. As I was like,
it was like industrial paint. It wasn't like normal paint.
Yeah. It was like that industrial, like yellow hazard paint.
Stuff that's palms. Not supposed to be wiped off.
Yeah. The only way that we could get it off, I remember my dad had this thing of gasoline, and my dad just, dumb boy, just pouring gasoline on my hand, trying to scrub that thing off my hand. It was a weird afternoon.
Yeah, pouring gasoline, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. You know how dumb today you were, boy?
It went from your hands to your whole body. He just started pouring gasoline on your whole body.
Let me just fix this problem altogether.
What are you doing, Dad?
Why you do this to me, Dad?
This smells bad, Dad.
Stop pouring gasoline on me, Dad.
It's a weird afternoon.
But typical.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still think about that that moment when you got paint in your hands. I just told Anissa that, my wife, the first time. She was cracking up.
And just suddenly it's just like she thought Dillon's a really cool guy, right?
No, it pretty much cemented her already formed ideas about you. So
yeah, well, I guess makes sense. I'm an idiot. All right, guys, I think we're out of time now. Anything else we want to say before we wrap up? James, thank you for coming in and participating in this badness that we call a podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. It was fun.
I'd like to mention as well, James is a marketer extraordinaire.
Ooh, yes.
And James, you go ahead and plug yourself.
I'm a dentist. I don't know what you're talking about.
Gosh, dang it.
I need a cleaning.
Dillon needs a cleaning.
You need a lot more than that, Dillon.
Yeah.
Dillon needs a soul cleaning.
Yeah, what do you do, James? What is it you do?
I market.
Thanks, everybody.
Till next time.
Don't be modest.
I help local businesses get more customers and more clients. I also sell out live events, which I'm doing right now for a couple of clients and doing some real estate events. Did an entrepreneurial event in Atlanta that we just sold out the other day. So so that's what I do. And then I sit in front of my computer and I find more of those people that want my help, and then I help them. And then I gloat about it online.
Nice.
All right.
On podcasts in particular. So I guess they're saying that if you want to be successful, call James Cluster.
Hey, if you have business needs, you want to get more customers in your door, talk to Cody.
I don't know why you'd talk to me. I don't know anything.
Because Cody will tell you that James is the guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Cody's our favorite middleman.
Yeah. Always need
Cody's
a
the
middleman.
gatekeeper.
I'll hook you up. Doesn't matter what it is.
Cody's a professional middleman.
I don't even know what it is.
Definitely the guy to call. All right. Well, again, thank you, James, for coming on. Really appreciate it. Again, this is That Cousin Show. You guys can check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere on the web. So you can't really miss us these days. Yeah, James would know. He helped us. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yes. We're not good enough.
I take no responsibility.
He does not.
Smart move.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with more fun, exciting topics to discuss. And until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Good night.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Whoa.